If their actions don't match their words, believe the silence, not the speech. My friends, let me hit you with something that might just shake loose the lie you've been holding on to. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a vending machine, hungry, tired, maybe even desperate. You keep pressing the button, again and again. Same one, same snack, but nothing ever drops. Just a cold mechanical buzz and a glass wall staring back. Now here's the part most people miss. It's not broken because you didn't press hard enough. It's broken because it was never meant to feed you. That's exactly what it feels like when you're trying to figure out how someone truly feels about you. But their actions never match the words. They say they care, they say they love, but somehow you're still empty, still guessing, still waking up, wondering if you're too much or maybe not enough. Folks, that confusion, that silence, that inconsistency, it's your answer, and it's louder than any "I miss you" they might drop at 2 a.m. Stoicism teaches us something powerful. We do not control others, only how we respond to their truth. So if they're not calling, not showing up, not choosing you with clarity and consistency, stop interpreting their behavior through your hope. Start interpreting it through your worth. You see, when someone truly values you, they don't leave you wondering. You won't have to solve them like a puzzle. They don't offer breadcrumbs when you bring the whole feast. They match effort with effort. They lean in when things get hard. They speak less and show more. And even in silence, you feel secure. But let's be honest, Some of you are stuck in that mental loop, asking, do they still think about me? Did I mean anything at all? Why did they act like they cared and then vanish? I get it. We all want closure. But here's the raw truth nobody likes to say out loud. Closure is just their absence combined with your clarity. You don't need them to come back and explain. You just need to see what was already there and what wasn't. Now, a little fun but honest twist. Ever seen a magician pull a rabbit from a hat? That's how some of them act. 1 minute, loving, present, intense. The next, poof, gone, and you're left wondering if you imagined the whole show. But that was never magic. That was misdirection. The greatest illusion they played was making you doubt your gut when it was screaming the truth from day one. Listen, this isn't about making them regret. That's just a side effect. This is about you seeing yourself again, because the real you, the healed you, the version of you that stops begging for attention and starts walking in power. Oh, trust me, they feel that. Even in silence, they feel it. Especially in silence. The one who ignored you will feel it more when you stop trying, stop chasing, and start glowing. So let them wonder. Let them sit in the echoes they created. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to perform to be chosen. You just need to be unavailable to confusion and loyal only to clarity. That's when you win. Because how they treat you is how they feel about you, not how they felt once, not how they promised to feel, but how they treat you consistently, and if they couldn't choose you when you were soft, loving, and giving. Don't you dare let them near you once you've turned into gold. You are not too much. You are just too rare. Say it with me in the comments. I choose clarity. Drop it below. Make it real. And if this message hit home, press that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started, so stay with me. Number 1. Their actions are the only truth you need. Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. Let that hit for a second, because we've been trained, no, conditioned, to believe that if someone says the right things, they must mean them, that if they tell us we're special, we must be, that if they keep coming back, even inconsistently, then it must be real. But folks, here's the truth most people choke on. Words are cheap. Behavior is currency, and most of us are broke from investing in promises that were never backed by action. Let me ask you something. If someone told you they were a gardener, stood in your yard every day, raving about how much they love flowers, but your plants were withering, dry, and untouched, would you still believe they cared? Of course not. You'd look at the soil, the water, the actual tending. You'd check what they did, not what they said. But when it comes to love, to connection, to how they feel about us, we suddenly start making excuses for the dead flowers they left behind. You don't water a plant you don't want to keep alive, so why are you still believing in someone who lets you wilt? I know what you're thinking. But they told me they loved me. They said I mattered. They used to care. I hear you. I really do. But what are they doing now? Not 6 months ago. Not when they were lonely or bored. Not in those hot and cold flashes where they needed attention. What about when it actually counted? Did they show up consistently? Or did they fade when your needs became inconvenient? Let's break this lie we've been feeding ourselves. They care, they're just bad at showing it. No, if someone truly values you, they'll learn how to show it. They'll figure it out. They'll adapt. You think someone who's starving doesn't learn how to find food. You think someone who's drowning doesn't try to breathe. Real care adapts. Real effort evolves. And silence, avoidance, inconsistency, that's not love. It's laziness wrapped in charm. So why do we fall for the words anyway? Because deep down, we want to believe them. We're afraid to face the truth that maybe, just maybe, they don't feel the way we hoped. And that kind of truth, that hits the ego. That shakes the dream. That forces us to admit that all the time, love, energy, and hope we poured into them might have been one-sided, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But you know what's even harder? Staying stuck in a loop of disappointment, waiting for someone to become who they keep pretending to be. Here's a secret Stoicism teaches us, one that'll set you free if you let it. What you tolerate, you teach. If you tolerate breadcrumbs, don't be surprised when you never get the full meal. If you reward mixed signals with more effort, don't be shocked when they keep ghosting and returning like it's a game. You can't teach someone to value you by overgiving. You teach them to respect you by withdrawing from confusion. Think about this. If they only show up when they need something, if their effort only kicks in when they sense you're pulling away, if they disappear the moment things get real, get deep, get vulnerable, then their love is a performance, not a practice. And you weren't a partner. You were an audience. It hurts. I know it does. But there's power in truth. There's strength in finally seeing what's in front of you, not what you wished was there. You stop playing detective, looking for clues in every text, every delay, every like on social media. You stop needing explanations. You stop begging for closure. Because the behavior was the closure. It always has been. And listen, don't get caught up in the fantasy that maybe they're just not ready. That one day when they heal, they'll come back better, more loving, more available. Let me ask you, do you really want to put your heart on layaway for someone who couldn't love you when you were all in? Do you really want to freeze your potential, your peace, your joy, waiting for someone to catch up? You are not a placeholder for their emotional maturity. You are not a rehab center for broken effort, and you are definitely not here to be confused daily, just to experience a breadcrumb of affection on random Tuesday nights. So what do, my friends? We stop asking what they meant. We stop decoding the silence, and we start doing the one thing that Stoicism demands: observe their actions and act accordingly. If they show up with clarity, consistency, and care, great. But if their pattern is disappearing, disappointing, and delaying responsibility, then you match their energy by removing yourself from the equation. You stop showing up for the version of them that only lives in your imagination. And when you do that, when you choose clarity over confusion, peace over patterns, worth over wounds, they will feel it. Oh, they'll feel it, because nothing shakes someone more than realizing the one they thought would always be there finally stopped waiting. So walk tall, heal deeply, speak less, watch more, and let the ones who were never serious show themselves through their absence. Say it out loud, write it in the comments below. I believe behavior, not charm, not words, not history, behavior. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that your worth is not up for debate anymore. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. We're about to go even deeper. Stay with me. Number 2. Why they treated you that way, and it's not your fault. Let's tear down one of the most poisonous lies we ever tell ourselves after someone treats us poorly. Maybe they acted this way because something's wrong with me. Sound familiar? That quiet, nagging whisper that starts creeping in the moment they pull away. Cheat, disappear, reject you without explanation. It says, you weren't enough. You were too much. You should have done more, said less, been different. That voice is not your truth. That voice is your wound. Listen to me, my friend. You are not the reason they couldn't love properly. Read that again. Say it out loud if you need to. You didn't cause their emotional confusion. You didn't create their unhealed past. You didn't fail just because they couldn't see what they had. What happened wasn't your fault. It was simply a reflection of their own disconnection, their own fear, and in many cases, their own emptiness. Let's put it this way. Imagine walking into a dark room holding a treasure chest. Pure gold, carved with precision, glowing with light. You walk up to someone sitting there wearing a blindfold, and you show them this chest with full pride, full heart, full intention. But they shrug, they turn their head, they toss it aside. You start wondering, was it fake gold? Was it not shiny enough? But the truth is, they couldn't even see it. Not because it wasn't valuable, but because they were blindfolded by their own unhealed reality. That's how many of us end up hurt by people who couldn't even meet themselves in the mirror, and you expected them to meet you in love. Stoicism teaches this clearly. Another's ignorance is not your responsibility. Just because someone lacks the emotional maturity, clarity, or inner peace to appreciate you, that doesn't reduce your value. A person's ability to love you well does not define your worth. Their silence doesn't mean you don't deserve to be heard. Their absence doesn't mean you aren't worthy of presence. Their rejection doesn't mean you were unlovable. It means they weren't capable of showing up for real love. We forget this sometimes because our brain looks for patterns. It says, if they treated me this way, it must be about me. That's survival thinking, not truth. It's the same instinct that makes us take responsibility for things out of our control, just so we can feel like we have power over the pain. But here's your wake-up call. You don't heal by owning blame that was never yours to carry. Let's flip the question. What if they treated you that way because they didn't know how to treat themselves any better? What if they couldn't show up for you because they've never had someone show up for them? What if your love scared them, not because it was too intense, but because it was too real? See, when someone has lived their whole life inside of chaos, comfort feels unfamiliar. Peace feels suspicious. Real love feels like a setup. So instead of embracing it, they sabotage it. They push it away. They ghost. They run. They lie. Not because you were wrong, but because they're not ready for right. And that's where your detachment becomes your power. You stop needing them to realize your value. You stop needing closure. You stop wondering if you could have fixed it, if you should have fought harder, because deep down, you already know. You showed up. You gave your all. You were honest. You were available, and they still chose distance. That's not your burden to fix. That's their soul's journey to face. So here's what you do now. You let go, not because you gave up, but because you finally woke up. You start seeing the reflection in the mirror as whole again, not cracked, not flawed, just healing, stronger than before, wiser now. Because every person who mishandled your heart taught you this. I don't need to shrink to be loved. I just need to stop offering myself to those who can't hold love at all. You were gold in front of someone wearing blindfolds, but here's the twist. They're going to take those blindfolds off one day. Maybe not now, maybe not next week, but someday they'll look back and realize they fumbled something rare. And you'll already be gone. Not bitter, not broken, just better. So say it with me. Drop it in the comments. Let it echo into your new reality. It wasn't my fault. Let's dive even deeper. Number 3. The game of mixed signals. It was never confusion. It was control. He who confuses you controls you. This isn't just a quote, it's a mirror, and if it hits you in the gut, it's probably because you've felt it, lived it, maybe even denied it. Let's talk about mixed signals, that emotional roller coaster they put you on, where one day they're all in, calling, texting, laughing, opening up, and the next day, cold, silent, gone. And just when you decide to walk away, boom, they show up again, like nothing happened. A "hey, you good" message, a random like on your post, a picture on their story they know you'll see, and suddenly you're back in the loop, wondering, maybe they do care. Maybe I was just overthinking. No, my friend, you weren't overthinking, you were being manipulated. Let's break it all the way down. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't bad timing. This wasn't they're just not good at showing emotions. This was a calculated move, conscious or unconscious, to keep you just close enough so you wouldn't walk away. They didn't want to love you properly. They just didn't want to lose you completely. And that's what makes it so toxic. It's like they're holding a small flame right in front of your face, not to warm you, but to burn you just enough to make you feel something, just enough to keep you hoping, just enough to stop you from closing the door. And every time you lean in, it hurts. But because the flame is still there, you keep trying to get closer, thinking this time it'll be different. This time, they'll be ready. But it never is. Why? Because the moment they give you clarity, they lose control. The moment they say, "This is what I want," the illusion breaks. And people who play this game don't want real connection. They want power. And the easiest way to gain power over someone is to make them question themselves, their worth, their gut, their sense of reality. Let me ask you something. How many times did you talk yourself out of your own intuition just because they breadcrumbed you with a sweet message or some sudden attention? How many nights did you lay in bed, staring at your phone, trying to decode a conversation that didn't even deserve your energy. That, right there, is the trap. That's what they wanted. Confusion keeps you spinning, and spinning people don't walk away. But here's where Stoicism becomes your shield. If it disrupts your peace, it's not love. If it brings more questions than answers, it's not truth. If you have to fight to matter, it's not real. Love, real love, is clarity. It feels safe. It feels grounding. It feels consistent, not chaotic. You shouldn't need to pull petals off a flower whispering, they love me not. You deserve to know, with confidence, without begging, without decoding mixed messages like you're solving some FBI case. And let's be real, deep down, you already knew. You knew something was off. You just hoped you were wrong, but the gut doesn't lie. What lies is that little voice that says, maybe I'm asking too much. No, you're not asking too much. You're asking the wrong person. You're asking someone who benefits from your confusion. Now, some of them don't even realize they're doing it. That's how deep their dysfunction runs. They've been hurt, abandoned, broken, so when something real shows up, they panic. Instead of choosing it, they manipulate it. They can't regulate love, so they try to control it. And that's not your job to fix. You're not here to be their clarity while they're still choosing chaos. So what do? You choose peace over potential. You stop reading between the lines and start reading the line that matters most, their actions. If they can't give you clarity, give yourself closure. If they can't be honest, you be brave. If they want you confused, leave them speechless. Because here's the truth. The moment you stop chasing answers and start honoring your boundaries is the moment their flame dies out. And trust me, when that warmth is gone, when your light isn't available on demand, they'll feel the cold. Oh, yes, they will. But by then, you'll have moved on, healed, grown, glowed up, and they'll be stuck playing the same game with someone else who hasn't yet learned what you're learning now. Say it with me. Write it in the comments. Confusion is control. Let that be your filter. Let that be your compass. If it's unclear, it's not for you. If it makes you anxious, it's not safe. If it doesn't feel like love, it probably isn't. Number 4. The silent regret. They're hiding from you. What you ignore eventually haunts you. And oh, how true that is. See, most people think the story ends when they leave you, when they ghost you, when they stop texting, stop calling, stop choosing you. It looks so final from the outside, so cold, so clean, like they just wiped their hands, walked off, and never looked back. And you're left wondering, did I ever matter to them at all? But here's the shift you need to hear. Most of them do feel the loss. Just not out loud, not in front of you, not in ways you'll immediately see, because people don't always grieve in public, especially not the ones who walked away thinking you'd still be there when they circled back. You were a steady flame, warm, loyal, bright, and they took it for granted. They assumed your light would always be there, flickering in the background, waiting, hoping. But the truth is, now that the cold has come, they feel it. That warmth they once felt when your name popped up on their phone. Gone. That comfort of knowing they could always reach you when things got lonely. Gone. And the part that hurts them most? They didn't notice what they had until it wasn't reaching for them anymore. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine them standing at a distance now, watching you from the shadows they created, watching your light grow brighter, watching you rise, watching you laugh again, heal again, love yourself again. They scroll through your posts. They replay old conversations in their mind. They hear your voice in quiet rooms. But do they reach out? No. Why? Because pride is louder than their pain. But silence? Silence is where regret speaks the loudest. They pretend it doesn't hurt. They'll show the world they're fine. Maybe they even flaunt someone new, trying to fill the space you once held. But no matter how much they try to distract themselves, your absence has a sound. And it echoes. Because you weren't just another connection, you were the one who showed up, the one who gave without games, the one who listened, loved, believed. They don't miss you because you disappeared. They miss you because you were real. And the world is noisy, full of fake flames, but real warmth, real presence, that stays with a person, even in silence. Here's what Stoicism teaches us. We don't need to witness their downfall to validate our worth. We don't need the apology, the text, the "I messed up" moment. Their regret is not our healing. It's just the echo of what they failed to nurture. Your job isn't to wait for them to realize it. Your job is to keep becoming someone who will never accept half effort again. They may not say it. They may never show it, but trust this, when the noise fades and their distractions fall silent, they sit with themselves, and they remember you. They remember the love that didn't play games. They remember the consistency, the care, the way you made them feel seen, even when they didn't deserve it. And that memory, that's what haunts them now. But by the time they feel the weight of what they lost, you won't be there waiting with open arms. You'll be out of reach, not to punish, but to protect. Not to play games, but because you've grown. Because you finally realized that your light was never meant to beg to be noticed. It was meant to shine. So let them watch your glow from the dark. Let them feel the warmth they once ignored, now burning in their memory. You don't need to prove anything. Their silent regret is the proof. Their avoidance is the confession. And your peace. That's the revenge. Say it with me. Type it in the comments. My glow haunts them. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I walked away with grace and didn't look back. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that silence is your power now. Number 5. Why they come back after you're over it. They didn't miss you. They missed the version of you who hadn't seen the truth yet. Let that sink deep, because when they come back, after the silence, after the ghosting, after the months of mixed signals and half-hearted effort, it's easy to believe it's love, that maybe they finally realize, that maybe now they see your worth. But most of the time, that's not what's happening. What they really miss is access, the power they once held over your heart, the emotional open door you kept unlocked, even while they were leaving and coming as they pleased. They miss the version of you that still waited, that still hoped, that still broke in silence and smiled anyway. But here's the Stoic truth. They don't chase when you cry, they chase when you rise. See, there's something terrifying to a person who once took you for granted, and it's not your anger, it's not your begging, it's not even your heartbreak, it's your silence, your stillness, your glow, the calm in your spirit after the storm, the way you suddenly stop checking their page, the way you stop reacting, the way your energy detaches so cleanly they don't recognize you anymore. You're no longer the same person they left behind, and that realization, it burns. Imagine a locked door. You knocked, waited, pleaded. You stayed. You whispered through the cracks, trying to make them hear your worth. But they kept that door shut, maybe even laughed from behind it. And then, one day, you stopped knocking. You turned around. You built a new house, stronger walls, cleaner energy, a place that didn't need begging to be filled with love. And that's when the old door creaks open, not because they've changed, but because they can no longer feel your presence leaning against it. That's what breaks them. Detachment is the end of their control, and people who built their confidence off your attention, off your chasing, your softness, your loyalty, they don't know what to do when that fuel runs out. When your light no longer shines in their direction, they start to notice how dark it really is without you. But here's the part that will set you free. They didn't change, they just lost control, and now they want it back. That's why they circle back with small talk. How have you been? Out of nowhere. A memory they resurface in a message. A vague apology without true responsibility. It's not love, it's bait, a test. They want to see if the door's still open, if they still have access to the old you, the one who would have dropped everything just to feel wanted again. But you're not that person anymore, are you? You've seen the truth now. You've outgrown the fantasy. You've realized that anyone who had to lose you to see you never truly saw you in the first place. Stoicism teaches us this. Power is not found in control over others. It's found in control over yourself. And when you stop giving them emotional access, when you stop reacting, when you stop needing them to choose you, that's when you win. That's when your peace becomes louder than their confusion. That's when they feel what they tried so hard to avoid, the silence of being replaced by your healing. So don't be surprised when they come back. Expect it, but don't mistake it for a miracle. It's not a rebirth of love. It's the return of someone who finally felt your absence. And if they only missed you after you stopped showing up, then they didn't miss you. They missed the version of you that still hadn't walked away. Say it with me. Write it in the comments below. I don't open old doors. Let the world see it. Let them feel it. Number 6. What real love feels like, and why this wasn't it. Anything that costs you your peace is too expensive. And yet, how many of us kept paying for something that kept leaving us emotionally bankrupt? Let's talk about real love, not the fairy tale, not the movie scene where chaos equals passion and pain equals proof. I'm talking about peaceful love, the kind that doesn't leave you second-guessing your worth every other night. The kind that doesn't feel like walking a tightrope over a pit of anxiety. The kind that doesn't ghost you on Tuesday and love-bomb you on Friday. Because real love, my friends, does not confuse the hell out of you. From a Stoic lens, love is measured by what it builds, not what it breaks. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. It's not about butterflies, it's about safety. And if they left you constantly doubting, wondering, waiting, that wasn't love. That was a storm disguised as a home. Love should feel like a lighthouse, not a thunderstorm. It doesn't flicker just because you had a bad day. It doesn't disappear when things get hard. It stands tall, it guides you, it stays, even when the waves crash, even when the skies are dark. Love is what stays steady when everything else around you isn't. Now ask yourself this: did they feel like a lighthouse or a lightning bolt? Because if it was chaos, if it made you feel anxious more than calm, if you had to shrink your needs just to keep their attention, then you weren't in love. You were in survival mode, and you kept calling it love because you were afraid that calm might mean boring. But I promise you this: when you've healed, peace is the most exciting thing in the world. They made you feel like you were too emotional, too needy, too intense, but that wasn't the truth. The truth is, you were just asking for the bare minimum from someone who didn't have it in them. You were hoping for safety in someone who only knew chaos. And when they couldn't meet your needs, they made you question yourself. They told you you were asking too much. But no, you were just asking the wrong person. Let's be honest, you tolerated things you knew weren't right because you loved them, because you believed in their potential, because you wanted the story to end differently. You told yourself they would change. You thought your love could teach them how to love you back. But love isn't a rescue mission. It's not a classroom. And you're not a teacher for someone who keeps skipping the lesson. You're allowed to outgrow people who make peace feel like a privilege. You're allowed to want someone who makes you feel safe in their presence, not anxious in their absence. You're allowed to want someone who listens without making you beg. Someone who remembers the little things without being reminded. Someone who doesn't disappear the moment you stop chasing. So what do you stop tolerating? You stop tolerating one-sided effort, hot and cold games, conditional love, passive-aggressive silence, confusion disguised as just figuring things out, apologies without change, promises without proof, attention only when you pull away. And what do you start seeking? You seek peace, consistency, clarity, presence, love that feels like a lighthouse, not because it shines the brightest, but because it shines even when it's storming. Love that lets you exhale, that lets your nervous system relax. That reminds you daily, you are safe here. Because love is not supposed to make you anxious. It's not supposed to make you prove yourself. If you have to beg for it, chase it, decode it. It's not love, it's a warning. So say it loud. Type it in the comments. I choose peaceful love. Write it. Mean it. Show it. Because the next chapter of your life deserves love that doesn't come with lightning and rain. It deserves love that stands tall like a lighthouse, even when the waves rise. We're just now getting to the calm after the storm. Number 7. You're not too much. You were just asking the wrong person. They said you were too much. Good. You were too much for their empty hands. Let that sink in deep. Because for far too long, they made you feel like you were the problem, like your love was too intense, your standards too high, your emotions too loud. They made you shrink so they could feel tall. They made you question yourself just so they could avoid confronting their own lack. But let me tell you something, my friend. You weren't too much. You were more than they were ever ready for. You brought a feast to someone who only came with crumbs, a table full of loyalty, attention, forgiveness, patience, real love, and they sat there like it was too heavy to lift their own spoon, not because you overwhelmed them, but because they came empty, emotionally empty, spiritually shallow, mentally unprepared. And when someone isn't ready to meet your depth, they label you too much because it's easier than admitting they don't know how to swim. Let's be real here. You were asking for consistency, for honesty, for communication, for loyalty, for peace. That's not too much. That's what basic effort looks like when you care about someone. But when you ask these things from someone who's used to giving the bare minimum, they'll make you feel like you're asking for the moon. Because anything that costs them growth feels like pressure. You scared them, yes, but not in the way you think. It wasn't your neediness, it wasn't your standards, it was your strength, your self-awareness, your ability to love deeply without losing yourself. That's what shook them. Because people who can't sit with their own emotional chaos can't handle someone who brings emotional clarity. You were a mirror they weren't ready to look into. Stoicism teaches this. Do not lower yourself to be understood by the shallow. Rise and let them learn to breathe at your level, or walk away. You don't need to apologize for being the storm and the calm. You don't need to downplay your light because someone else was more comfortable in the dark. And let's not forget the pattern here. How many times did you tone yourself down just to keep the peace? How often did you bite your tongue, lower your needs, pretend you didn't care as much, just to avoid being too much? And did it ever work? No, because it's never enough for someone who never planned to give more in the first place. You weren't too sensitive, you were tuned in. You weren't too intense, you were fully present. You weren't too needy, you were emotionally available, and they didn't know how to hold that, so they dropped it, then blamed the break on you. But here's the truth, you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. The right one. They won't flinch at your standards. They'll rise to meet them. They won't call you dramatic for feeling deeply. They'll honor you for it. They won't get overwhelmed by your love. They'll be humbled by it. Because real love doesn't ask you to dim down. It asks you to shine brighter. And if someone calls you too much again, smile. That just means you've outgrown another small container. You're evolving, and not everyone will have the capacity to hold what you're becoming. So let them go. Let them call you too much. Let them label you, because eventually they'll realize they lost someone rare. And by then, you'll be too far ahead to hear the regret echoing behind you. Say it with me. Type it in the comments. I am not too much. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your soul stands taller. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that your standards aren't the problem. Their inability to meet them was. Number 8. Let them feel your absence, not your pain. Silence is the sound of power. And now it's your turn to speak with it. Let's stop pretending they didn't notice your absence. Oh, they did. They noticed the stillness when your name stopped lighting up their phone. They noticed the emptiness when your energy no longer surrounded them. But they won't say it. They won't admit it. Because that would mean confessing they lost something they thought would always be there. You became the sunset they took for granted, and now they stare at the dark, hoping for one more glimpse. But it's gone. You're gone. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you finally chose yourself. That's the real revenge. Detachment. No yelling, no chasing, no explaining. Just silence. Just evolution. Just distance so loud it echoes through their regrets. They'll feel it in the quiet moments, in the space where your love used to live, in the smiles they used to get for free, in the presence that once felt like home. But now it's locked, not out of spite, but out of strength. So don't give them your pain, don't give them your tears, give them your absence. Let it be heavy, let it teach them what your presence truly meant. And while they sit in that darkness, you rise. And here's the truth we leave with. When you stop chasing, explaining, or proving, you start reclaiming your power. Their silence doesn't break you anymore, because yours is stronger. You've seen the truth. You've felt the shift. And now, it's time to walk in it. If this message lit something inside you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Press the like button if you felt the fire, subscribe to keep rising with us, and drop it in the comments, I choose peace. Because this journey isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth. And your glow, it's just getting started.